Hello and welcome to another episode of the Choose Strong podcast. We are your hosts, Eddie and Sally McRae, and we are so grateful that you have decided to push play on today's episode. We know that you're going to enjoy it because today we are talking all about running, and I'm going to put a little emphasis on Eddie's current training and how we have trained him through injury. Now, typically a coach, a PT, a doctor is going to say, don't train through injury. So I guess another way to put this is we are training through pain that doesn't matter if you sit, rest, or move, which for some people who have chronic pain, one of the ways that we communicate with people that live in chronic pain is you have to learn to live with it. You have to learn to have it be a part of your daily life, and then you choose what it is that you want to do. And so we're going to dive a little bit into what that has looked like for Eddie. Thankfully, he is improving day by day, very, very slowly as far as that nerve pain goes. But I am grateful to know that it hasn't gotten worse, and you've been able to put in some training, and you have the Surf City Half Marathon coming up this weekend. We also want to just take some time to give special shout outs to you in our Choose Strong community, those who have left some reviews, but also those who are putting the work in. And I know that's something that's really important to us that we take the time and talk about. So that's going to be, Eddie, I don't know if we've given a name as far as the slot goes.
No, I think it's, shout outs, just giving some people some love, right?
Strong shout outs.
Some strong shout outs. Yeah.
I like that. Something like that. And then the people that are doing the work. We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
We also got our dog making an appearance today. He's rolling around on the ground right now with his bone. So if you hear something in the background, it's probably Bear. Although these microphones are so good, I feel like it has blocked out that noise.
Yeah.
Whenever we podcast, he's like a baby.
He is.
He does not like to be left alone anywhere in the house. And so if Eddie and I go into a room and we close the door, he will scratch and cry outside. So
yep.
He usually comes in and plays around on the floor. It's really sweet.
Yep. Another baby in the fam.
We're matching, Ed.
I know. I noticed that.
How cute is that? We both got our
representing
Do the Work sweatshirts on.
Do the Work. I got me some goldenrod yellow, and you got your classic black. Looks good.
Yeah, you want to talk about our shop, what we're doing this
weekend?
The
merch shop, yes. This weekend, little flash sale. We got some new items dropping into the store, and they're going to be on sale. And man, they're pretty cool. We were just looking at them today, and pretty pumped. So this weekend, keep your eye out. And if you are listening to this episode 3 weeks from now, you missed out. You got to be current. You got to be current on these episodes, because if you are, you get to hear about the sales, you get to hear about the hat giveaways. But if you're 3 episodes behind, you know what? Maybe next time.
What are the new things in the shop? What's going on?
So we got lanyards coming, and we got some joggers. Right? Those little sweats, those are pretty cool. Got the Do the Work joggers. We got the what are they called? They're not zip ups. Yeah, they're
a windbreaker.
A windbreaker, right. Yeah. Those look pretty cool. Those look really cool. And we got some black windbreakers with some yellow writing. It's gonna look cool.
Sticker pack.
Sticker pack, that's right. Stickers are gonna be coming in. Put them on your water bottles and your laptops. And what else have we got in the shop coming? I think that's all I remember.
My favorite thing is the Do the Work shirt with the lion.
The lion, yes.
I love the lion. That is, I know we released a lot of stuff with the skeleton on it for Do the Work Until You Die. And we are releasing Do the Work with the lion in the future. We're also going to do it with the Choose Strong. We have had some questions, quite a few in the community. People want to know when the Choose Strong merch will come out, and that is rolling out. We are working with the most legit designer on some new stuff, some branding. We're very stoked about the McRae brand logo.
Yeah.
That was just recently designed. So yeah, we are in full swing of merch, but we want to create some stuff that's cool that everyone would want to wear, not just on the trails, but around.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's all about spreading a really positive, uplifting, encouraging message, both in strength and consistently putting in work. I think that's something that I know I have to remind myself every single day. And so being able to create this gear around that is really exciting. And it's been so fun to be tagged on the daily of everyone wearing it.
Yeah, it has.
So
been cool.
for those of you listening that have tagged the Choose Strong podcast, we really appreciate that. It's so fun for us to see you guys sporting all of the gear. I do need to make a note about the yellow hat. The pre-order ended. The hat will come again in waves. So it's not gone forever. It will be several months, though, before you see it again on the shop. Other hats will be coming, though, before the pre-order for the next wave of the Nike Choose Strong hat will come out. So keep checking back on the store. You can get alerts on the store. All links you can always find in my Instagram profile, but SallyMcRae.com is always the best way to find all the links. Eddie, let's go ahead and say hello to everyone that has joined us. We have a lot of people that have just started their workout, and I thought maybe you could take a moment to give them some encouragement. I usually put on the coach's hat, but you're pretty good at it too. I hear the way you talk to our kids.
What do I say? I'm trying to think.
You're very encouraging to both the kids.
I am, but okay. So if you just started out, I see you. We see you.
Yes.
And you are putting in the work. Mm-hmm. And that is what counts.
Why does it look like you're going to start laughing right now?
I don't know.
Because you are. There you go. There's your encouragement, guys. Eddie's laughing at you.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at myself. You know what? Good for you. You're out there, wherever you are. Maybe you're in the gym. Mm-hmm. And you are putting up some serious weight right now.
Right.
And I do not want you better call over a spot, because if you're going to laugh, I don't want that falling on your chest. Getting your reps in. I like it. Man, yeah.
Speaking of putting in reps in, yesterday I walked into the gym. I'll have to admit, I'm a part of 3 gyms. I got to change it up.
Yeah.
And I walked into the gym. Within 5 minutes, I'm sitting on a bench, and this guy comes walking up to me, and he shows me his screen on his phone, and it's our podcast. He's like,
"Let's go.
I'm literally listening to you right now."
That's
and
so
you just
cool.
sat next to me. It was awesome.
That is awesome.
I didn't get to meet this guy because he was very brief about it, and then he just continued training, and he had headphones on.
Yeah.
Whoever you are that was at my gym, thank you for introducing yourself and saying hello. Well, actually, you didn't introduce yourself. Thank you for listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And maybe I will get to meet you in
next,
a more formal way.
Yeah, next time. Workout session. Yeah.
I love that. That was
cool.
Super encouraging. So for those of you that have just started the run, yes, I think I do need to say well done on showing up.
Yep.
You need to know that every little bit of work that you put in matters, and today your work matters. And we want to give a shout to our youth. So all the kids, what is up? Thank you for joining in with your parents today and sitting through another episode of the Choose Strong podcast.
Yes, let's go.
We love the youth. We love the kiddos.
You can use this podcast as an excuse to not do your homework for a little bit.
Oh.
Don't tell your parents I said that.
I love it. Well, let's dive into the meat of this podcast. We are going to be discussing.
We're gonna not dive in yet. We're gonna do some shout outs. Yeah, so we got some Choose Strong podcast shout outs that I got. 2 of them. I'm gonna read 2 of them, and they're both from YouTube. So the first one is from Ghost Hound 818. All right. He or she said, I had an 8.5 mile run yesterday, and I bonked hard at 7 miles. I kept telling myself, just remember Sally. And it kept me positive and pushing till the end. Sharing your life through your book and your Choose Strong podcast has helped me get through many tough times in the past year, and it always reminds me that I'm strong no matter the circumstances. Thank you for all you and Eddie do. You two make this world a better place. Dude, that's what I'm talking about. 8.5 mile run and bonked at 7 and just said, you know what? What would Sally do in this situation? She would push through and Yeah, they finished it. I like that.
Appreciate
Solid.
you sharing that. Eddie, why do you think people bonk? I've
Why do
bonked
they
2
bonk?
miles in to a run. Yeah. I just want to know if you know what that
I'm
means as
thinking
you're embarking on the marathon
I'm
distance.
I'm thinking the reason you bonk, can it be a number of things? Like if you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I didn't get enough sleep last night, I'm tired,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm putting my body through something strenuous,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tap out soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or than later. Or it's food, nutrition stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's most often.
okay.
It's usually um it's fatigue or depletion.
I guess, yeah, if you're 7 miles in, that would
Yeah, it's
make
solid.
sense.
Yeah. And if the 7 miles that could have been on trails where there's a lot of climbing. But I know if you start a run and for some of us when we get up it's the first thing we do, and so breakfast doesn't always sound good.
Yeah.
That idea of like, hey, I'm going to
Waking
dive
up
into a
and
big bowl of oatmeal. Like that doesn't always sound good.
yeah.
And so for many runners, they get up, might get down a cup of coffee or a glass of water or something, and then they're just out the door.
Yeah.
Depending on what you ate for dinner that night before.
Yep.
Or
That's
if
true.
you ate well. Some people will have a light dinner, or then you're just in this massive calorie deficit. And so you can start running and be like, wow, I'm really hungry. I'm not getting that fuel that I need.
That
The
bowl of
mind
Lucky
gets-
Charms was not a good idea.
Yeah. So it can be that. It can
Yeah.
be hydration, just overall, fatigue, or it's hard to focus. It's hard to and it's real. I mean, bonking is real. This doesn't have to do necessarily with your fitness, with how fit you are. It has to do with getting those calories in, making sure you're feeling the mind and the muscles to keep pushing forward. So on that topic, I like to encourage those that have maybe the more sensitive stomach in the morning or that just are not feeling eating anything, grab a liquid calorie drink that has some carbs, maybe some electrolytes in it, and bring that with you. You will feel better on your run. If you know that you're going to be out for longer than 60 to 90 minutes, that's when you should start taking in some calories just to make sure that you're fueling your run to be the best that you can be. So I know it gets tricky because certain people are doing like these diets where they do intermittent fasting or they don't have breakfast till 10 a.m. And, other people are really trying to keep track of the sugar and carb count and calorie count. And so sometimes they feel that the sports nutrition throws that off. And I always lean into focus on your workout as a standalone thing. What does your workout need in order for you to stay strong every single step? Don't look at what you're consuming in your workout as, oh, great, now I can't have breakfast, or, now I have to cut the calories, because you will perform better when your body has fuel in it. You will then be able to put out a better energy output, better intensity, especially if that's what you're going for. So food is fuel. But if you are planning on doing something that's longer to 69 minutes, you got to have a plan in place to take something in.
So this guy or girl bonked at 7 and almost, got to their 8.5, or I'm assuming, yeah, they did get, you said when you bonk at say you got an 8-mile run and you're you bonked at 2.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that situation? Maybe you don't have fuel, nutrition. Do
Yeah.
you just tap out and say, you know what, maybe next time
I'll share
come
personal
tomorrow?
stuff that I've done, because there's a variety of things that I've done. I have driven out to the Laguna Canyons before, and I've been a couple miles in, and I've turned around and gone back to my car. Like, that's how bad
So
the
you
bonk
just stop.
is. Yeah, where I just know this isn't an efficient workout, and I'm going to have to come back to it another part of the day. I mean, I've done things where I've gone back to the car, I've eaten something, and then I go and try again. Coming back from bonking, much respect for this person that wrote in, is really difficult, especially in a race. It's really, really hard to bounce back when you have completely bonked. I mean, your mind is fuzzy. You might be a little bit dizzy. For some people, they get nauseous. Energy just feels depleted from head to toe. And so what you can do if that happens to you in a race, especially in ultras, is you got to get to an aid station, or hopefully you have a pack that has food in it. Slow down so that you're not trying to push out all this extra energy. slow down and start fueling. Just keep on getting that fuel in. And then as that energy comes back to you, just keep fueling. Make sure your hydration is there. It doesn't mean that you have to stop or all hope is lost or that you can't reach the goal that you did. You just have to use that 30 minutes to regain that energy again. But I've had teammates before that are like, they bonk so bad the race was over. They're like, I wasn't able to do what I want to do. So now I'm going to go sign up for another race and try again. Like that's how bad the bonk was. So, there have been other times like this person who wrote in where I have been maybe 15 miles into a 30-mile run and I realize, oh my gosh, I didn't bring enough calories with me. And, bonking and mental toughness, they tend to hit heads because we can beat ourselves up because we just feel like, wow, I know I'm really fit. I know I'm mentally tough, but this bonk is so bad, it's really hard to move. And so what I've done if I have bonked like mile 15 in a 30-mile run is I've had to slow down the overall workout. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a hike run until I'm able to like get back up on calories till I can feel a little bit better and really just do the best with what I have. And I chalk that up to a lesson. I think it's really good to feel that and learn that in training. It can be frustrating if you really planned on having a good workout, but you learn that it was valuable because now you're not going to do that on race day. And so every time that I've bonked, I've known exactly why I did. And most often than not, it's because I didn't have enough calories with me. I did not do my hydration right, electrolytes and things like that. And so I just learned to be better at that.
Yeah. So let's say that's a training run and it's like a, 10 to 15 mile training run and someone's bonking at 2 or 3 miles in. Is it better to throw in the hat like you have before and I'll come back tomorrow because it's not going to be an efficient workout? Or do you kind of trudge through and try to just finish even though it's not going to be great? Or does it like depend on kind of your training?
Yeah, that's a great question. The times that I've walked back to my car, I've went out for the run later in the day. So I went back home, I ate, or I went and got some food, like went to a Starbucks and got oatmeal, sat in my car, had oatmeal, coffee, and then, not everyone has that luxury and that time frame to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously it's my job. So for me, I look at it differently. Like this is my job. I need to get a quality run in. I didn't prepare for it right. So I need to go fix that. And now I'm going to come back to the trailhead. So, that's where I've had to fix the mistake. The other time where I realize, if it's 2-3 miles and let's just say it's here on the coast, I do slow down and I immediately change what the workout is because that goes back to the something is better than nothing. And I've learned a lesson for the day. So instead of beating myself up, like, what's wrong with me? I'm so slow. I'm out of shape. Like, I feel terrible. Like, this sucks. I'm going back home. It is, okay, something's going on here. I thought I was going to have a good run. I don't feel great. I was going to do a tempo run, but you know what? I'm going to slow down my pace and we're going to get through this because this could happen in a 10K, but I kind of know what's going on. And I just know that tomorrow I'm going to feel better. I'm going to make sure that my night before a run, that I'm going to have a better dinner. There's a lot of variables that go into it. And so I think if you're an early morning runner, remember that your last meal is very important to what you're doing the next day, depending on what the intensity is. So an easy recovery run requires a different type of fueling than a 3 to 4 hour long run in the mountains. It's also the same as if you plan to do a hard interval or a tempo workout or a hill repeat. You need some solid carbs for stuff like that. You need that fast fuel that's hitting those muscles. That's hard work. So you can typically get away with lower fuel or no fuel. I know some coaches that are like, hey, if it's 90 minutes or less, all you need is water or all you need is a little bit of electrolytes. Teach your body to be okay on 60 to 90 minutes of nothing. And I understand that, especially if it's just a recovery run. Most of us can do like really easy pace, chill, enjoy the morning and get home and have breakfast and we're fine. But I think when it comes to your workouts, where you're trying to hit a pace, you're trying to hit an intensity, you have to think about what fuel is going to help me perform my best today? What fuel do I need to hit those paces, to get up that mountain, to get out for the long run? Fuel is one of the main reasons why people miss a goal or DNF in a race. It's across the board, half marathon, marathon, and in all ultras.
Yeah.
You get that wrong, you have stomach issues, nauseous, digestive issues, bonking. Fuel is so important. So practicing it in your training, especially during your workouts, the most prominent one being your long run workout, is crucial, and it allows you on race day to stand at the start line in confidence, knowing exactly how you're going to fuel and what your body needs.
Okay, I was thinking as you were saying that, I got a question. So like if I go and run for, now granted I'm not pushing myself, but if I go run for an hour, like I'm good on like a little bit of water at the drinking fountain. I don't eat anything, whatever. But let's say I go for 15, 16 miles, like, do you just kind of listen to your body? Like, okay, so put me in your like, wait, you in my shoes. Okay, so because I haven't ran that far, right? So if I go like 15, 20 miles, do I set a time? Okay, every 30 minutes I should be eating this, or should I just listen to my body? I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel weak. I need to eat a gel, or is it like how do I know? Because I can probably just not eat anything, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how do I, does that make sense? Like, when do I eat something? And yeah.
I am not a scientist. I know that there's a big discussion about, athletes that want to do fat adaptation.
Yeah.
There's different ways of fueling. So some people will go on these fasted runs, and there's a lot of diverse and conflicting messages out there about that. I used to try runs like that, and when I would do fasted runs, I would make sure that I was close to like a gas station, grocery store, or something. But being in the sport for so long and hearing about these trends and fads and what other people are doing and how can you be better at utilizing fat burning in these longer distances, I tried everything. And so in my training book, you can look back and see, man, there were mountain runs that I would do on only 100 calories, 5-6 hours in the mountains. I would drink water and like sugar-free electrolyte stuff.
That was on purpose?
On purpose.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see how well I could do on no fuel.
Yeah.
Like what, and the messages that I was hearing was like, that's how you become fat adapted. That's how you become better. And then there's, a lot of messaging around, the no sugar, the no carbs, just high fat. But then there's also high carb athletes, and I have tried all of them.
Yeah.
And I've worked with several different nutritionists too. So what I have gathered over the years is that there are many diets and ways of fueling that make me feel horrible, but work so well for other people.
Yeah.
I need to eat. I love to eat, but also I realize that I can't perform my best unless I am continuously eating every hour. That's what I need. I need fuel every hour. Now, what's important here is I'm a 100 to 200 mile specialist. Those are the distances that I do. And I'm not interested in depleting my body for 200 miles. I'm interested in being as strong and fueled as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that the body works well when it has fuel in it.
Yeah.
It's amazing though, because as we learned and showed people in these races, there were times I was going 24 hours with barely even able to get water down. So I learned a lot about what human bodies are capable of doing. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm climbing mountains, running these distances, and I'm vomiting the whole time. And then my body would do a reset. And then by the end of the race, I'm eating burgers and smoothies and getting down every type of nutrition that was out there. So this idea that, it's not wise to go with no calories. You are able to. Yeah. It's amazing what we're able to do.
Yeah.
I always felt better though once I was eating. And one of the places that I felt the best was in my mind. Like if I didn't have enough calories, my brain was foggy. Yeah. And I couldn't think straight. I would get tired. And I think that it's finding the right fuel for you. I think there's too much, like having too much sugar can really cause some problems on your digestive system. I think it can cause crashes. But I think a little bit of sugar in these long races was really helpful because you're using it, so quickly, like a furnace. So someone like you, Eddie, if you are going to be embarking on your first 15, 16 mile run here pretty soon, someone like you, I would say there's a couple ways that you can get in fuel, and you want to think about it per hour.
Okay.
So the fuel that you're getting in per hour, if you already know that you're going to be out for more than 90 minutes, then you start fueling within 15 minutes of that run. But I always say you count your breakfast. So your breakfast is anywhere between 400 and 600 calories, or maybe even a little bit more than that. Your breakfast also should be timed. You should remember how long before your long run are you going to eat that breakfast, because the calories will impact that too. So if you get up and you have a big breakfast, 2 cups of coffee, but you don't run 3 hours later, well, that you're probably going to go to the bathroom in between there, maybe even a couple times. You've burned a lot of and used some of that energy already. And so, 15, 20 minutes before you head out the door, have 100 calories. And that calories can come in a gel pack, it can come in a bar, it can come in a sports drink. But then make it a habit, and you can set an alarm on most all smartwatches. You're able to set a nutrition alarm now. Okay. So if you wear a Garmin, you wear a Coros, and it'll just go off. It'll be like, okay, that means I need to take in 50 to 100 calories. Typically, the rule of thumb is between 200 and 300 calories. Everyone's different. Yeah. Your metabolism plays into that, your body size, your shape, all of that, how you're utilizing those calories. That's like a good rule of thumb, 200 to 300 calories. I like to get 300 plus in if I can, but I also have a lot of muscle mass. I burn calories really fast. And I know over the years I've learned I just need more calories than other people do. And so I've had to learn that on my own. Now, if you want to get in all those calories at the top of the hour, you can get in all the calories at the top of the hour. You can also do every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes. Find where your belly is happiest. So if you have a really sensitive belly, I say, okay, you need to do an IV drip. And that's just little tiny sips. And this is good for people who get sick in the later stages of a race. Don't think about, oh my gosh, I'm nauseous and I have to get in a whole gel. There is no way. Okay, you're not going to do that. You're going to just take back a little bit of the gel and immediately drink some water with it. Immediately. And you can get in your calories a lot better if you do that. Other people, ironclad stomachs. And so they can take back 2 to 3 gels an hour or a whole bottle of nutrition an hour. And I think, again, you're going to learn that on your long runs. Everyone is different. It is advantageous. And if you do have the funds to do this, you can go get tested in sports labs. They can figure out how many calories you need an hour. They can figure out what your sodium needs are. I think you remember I got my sodium tested before Moab.
Yeah.
And so, these little tests can kind of help you zero in on what it is that you need, because there are standards that you're going to find. And just like I did, I just said 200 to 300 calories an hour. That's so general.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like at the minimum that is what you should be getting in, especially if you're running. So when you embark on endurance, this is actually one of the toughest things for athletes who are maybe coming out of 5K, 10K, or they're coming out of other sports, that have half times and quarters and breaks and sidelines, to think about movement for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, you need fuel. And that doesn't feel good in the beginning. It's really awkward to carry the food, to eat it while you're running. Yeah. Your body isn't naturally going to like that. So you have to train it. Yeah. And the long run is your opportunity to do that. There's nothing more, I know it can be frustrating for really fit athletes, especially. They have great fitness, great training, and they're so excited for race day to hit this time, but they failed to practice their nutrition. And halfway into their race, they're walking. Only because of nutrition, not because they were fit and weren't consistent. There are so many parts to training that are valuable, and there's always something that we can work on, whether it's gear, nutrition, pacing strategy, different workouts, doing your PT exercises, your mobility exercises, your strength exercises. I mean, your sleep. There's always something that we can work on, and that will never, ever end. So nutrition is one of the most important ones. Your everyday life nutrition, and then your training nutrition. It all impacts how race day is going to feel for you.
Yeah, you said something interesting too, where we were talking about the other day, where one diet is good for one person, but it might not be for another. Just how our bodies are wired and created, how certain foods just don't go well. And because I was watching that documentary I love food documentaries, but the one on Netflix where it had the identical twins, and they were feeding them, the same thing to see how they would react and stuff.
What was that one called?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, I just thought of that when you were talking about the nutrition stuff, because it is such like a unique thing, right? Like how our bodies will react and handle timing and whatever. So, all right. Well, anyways, shout out to Ghost Town for giving the Chew Strong podcast a shout out. Thank you.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. And I do want to kind of put a button on that, because it is probably one of the most common across all running podcasts, fitness podcasts. Nutrition and diet will always be a buzz topic. And I always do my best to convey my stance on that overall topic. And that is, I do not adhere to any one diet. Yeah. I just don't believe in that. I also feel like it's easy to get caught up in thinking that there is superiority in a diet or how people eat. And a lot of I know you're learning this in that documentary too. It's like, for some people, like what culture they were raised in, they then either have sensitivities to certain foods, or they were just never raised to eat those foods. I have friends that were raised vegan. They never ever ate meat their whole life. And then friends that were the other way. It was like it was just meat. And but then you look at different cultures that just, that don't eat dairy or don't eat, certain kinds of sweets or fruits or vegetables or certain kinds of meats. And I really think that it's so important that we, one, appreciate the food that's available to us. It's such a gift that we get to have food. But two, food should never make us feel bad, and it should never be a platform in which we condemn others. Yeah. And I think a piece of that comes from a very personal place. If you've read my book, I talk a lot about that. It's we were not the family that could go and shop organically. And a lot of what we ate was processed food. I don't think I even had like real cheese until I worked at a sandwich shop and we got to have a free sandwich on our shift. And I didn't even realize there's so many different cheeses, So I think that what was important to me and what I understood was, when my mom got sick, the doctors said to her, you need to eliminate all of these things. It was pretty much everything that we ate. And you need to start juicing, and it's vegetables and vegetables and vegetables and just fresh food, nothing processed, no sugar, no this. And I remember as a teenager being really angry about that. Why didn't I ever know about that? But also knowing that we had a hard time affording all of the things that the doctor, had told her to eat. So I feel like that when it comes to food and nutrition, I do take a really strong stance on encouraging people to find the food that works best for them, that makes their bodies feel best, and just to do their best with fueling it in a way that's going to help them perform and is going to help them be the best that they can be. And I'm not going to, come on here and tell people that is, that's the wrong way to eat. And, you need to eat like me. But I think at the basis of all really good diets is that it's just eliminating stuff that's fake. Yeah. I remember someone put it to me that if it had a mother or it was grown in the dirt, it's probably healthy for you. It's probably something that's going to work better than something that was processed in a factory or in a science lab. You're just going to feel better eating those things. And I thought, that is a pretty good rule of thumb. So as best you can, eat fresh, as best you can, eat things that are whole. And when it comes to your sports nutrition, remember that the goal is to find what works for you that's going to fuel you to your goals. So if that is a super sugary gel for that half marathon and you're like, dude, that's like rocket fuel for me, it works, do it. Take that in. If it's a Red Bull, you're like, dude, Red Bull at mile like 18 in a marathon, yes, do it. Keep it personal to you. Find what works for you. And I think that will be always an ongoing journey. Because I know, Eddie, you and I have joked about this, how we ate as college athletes.
Yeah.
We can't eat like that today.
Nope. Definitely not.
Our bodies have changed, that digestive system has changed. And so we are always evolving in food and what it is that we're discovering. And I know you and I have done diets together and, we've experimented with so many different things. And I myself have had so many different nutrition sponsors and I've been trying to figure out the sports nutrition thing as well. So to our listeners, I just want to pour out grace on grace. Food should never make you feel ashamed. It should never make you feel bad. And it should be something that we appreciate. It's good. It can fuel you because that's what it is. Food is fuel, and it is your key to having a strong workout and a successful race day.
All right, moving on to another podcast shout out. This one is also from YouTube from Audrey Williams. Audrey said, "Your podcasts are so uplifting. Thank you for sharing your stories and positivity. It has truly helped me to keep doing the work during a hard time in my life when I feel so lost, and the only thing that seems to keep me grounded is running and strength training." Shout out to Audrey. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Audrey, for sharing that. Eddie, I have gotten just in the last 24 hours, several very heartfelt messages that were sent to me privately. So I don't always know if I can read these. I can't share the people's names, but people going through hard things, losing loved ones, in the middle of cancer treatments and, in hard relationships. And I feel like, when people feel like they can reach out to you, when they can reach out to me and share those things, a lot of times the messages are like, I don't know if you're going to read this, or if you'll ever see this. I just want to personally say that Eddie and I do our best every single day to read as much, like we take the time to read as much as we can. And we really appreciate that you feel vulnerable enough to share those things with us, because in so many ways, I feel like Eddie and I, we have traveled around the world several times. The number of countries that we've been to, the jobs that we've had, the places that we've lived have allowed us to experience a lot of these things that people are talking to us about, whether directly or indirectly. We just have a huge heart for you guys, and we see you and we hear you and we appreciate you. And we remember you throughout our days. For those of you that pray, know that Eddie and I do pray for a lot of you guys, and we just feel a really strong responsibility to this community, and we're so grateful for it, because knowing that you're getting this encouragement from the podcast is literally why we do it. That is the main focus. So thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. The last Choose Strong podcast shout out comes, it's actually from Apple, an Apple review. It's from I Ramble. All right. So I Ramble says, the title is "Cannot Lift Without Them." He or she says, "I used to dread my nighttime strength and mobility sessions, always saving them right before bed, feeling tired and unmotivated. With my new BFFs, Eddie and Sally, to hang with, I look forward to this time of growth, now full of laughter and inspiration rather than groaning and misery. Choose strong and find joy."
Wait, what's
Love
the handle?
That. I Ramble.
Okay, I Ramble. We are giving you a shout. If you are lifting right now, let's go.
Let's go, I
Let's
Ramble.
Go.
Nail that. Hit that mobility.
Well done putting in the work.
Jeez.
I know for me, I love a good strength session and mobility session in the gym, but I'll tell you what, did they say that it was a night session?
Yeah. It was
Okay,
right before bed,
Yeah.
feeling tired and
Yes.
unmotivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's all raise our hand for that one. Who
My hand's
feels
up.
that at the end of the night, especially if you are working a full-time job
Yeah.
and if you have kids?
Yep.
I know what's the off time for you, Ed. I know by the time I hit 8, I'm done.
Yeah.
I am like, I'm just in chill, kick my feet up mode. There's no more work.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
like I'm done.
Yeah, I'm like 9-ish.
Yeah, 9
9-ish,
o'clock.
yeah.
I think once to then say I'm gonna go and lift in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so as I read this one, I just thought of I can relate to I Ramble because last night, after a full day, you had me go run 8 miles. And
It was a workout.
it wasn't
You
just
had
like
some on and off. It was an
I couldn't
on-off
just walk
workout.
it. Let's just
No,
say that.
no.
So you had me go run 8 miles, and it was at night. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym to do this one on the treadmill. So I definitely didn't want to do it. I was obviously a little unmotivated, but it wasn't the Chew Strong podcast in my ear. But what got me through that 8 miles, and actually a lot quicker than I thought I was going to do it, was I started the Hulu show Welcome to Wrexham. Now, that show is amazing. I'm only 3 episodes in, so I watched 3 episodes in that 8 miles.
Who recommended that to you? How did you even?
A buddy of mine, Brad, I
Brad
played.
Davies?
Yeah, Brad Davies.
Let's go, Brad.
Played soccer with in college. He told me that I'd love this. Welcome to Wrexham, man. I'm hooked. I'm a big fan. About to get a jersey already. I'm only 3 episodes in, so. But that got me through my 8 miles last night, kind of like the Chew Strong podcast does for I Ramble, Anyways.
Anything to get it done. Sometimes
right.
you do need that external motivation, and sometimes a good show is going to help you pound out the miles.
Yeah.
I am impressed though because I gave you a workout, and you actually did the workout faster than I prescribed it.
Hey, I nailed it. I
nailed
it.
Something about that show.
I think it's the show. It's definitely the show. It's a combination of Ryan Reynolds and soccer, and it's just right up my alley.
You got a little man crush on the Reynolds?
I think no. Everybody says I look like him and I'm funny like him, so I just have this connection.
Who's everybody?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say names, but a lot of people have been saying that. So, anyways,
that's interesting.
Yep. So, hey, I ramble. I feel you. Well done. Getting those mobility and strength sessions at night done. I like it. All right, so let's move into some shout outs to some people that are doing the strong love, strong body, and strong minds. I chose one. I think you're going to appreciate these. This one was strong body. All right, this is Mark Albiston. I think that's how you say your last name. He put up some pictures in the Facebook community group. And he said his title was Running Disrupted with House Move, but Staying Strong with All the Demolition. And he has like 5 pictures of just an absolute tornado rip through this guy's house. Like he's demolished everything as he's remodeling or something. Wow. But man, that takes a strong body to do the training, to work, to go through your day, and then to deal with that. I mean, these are some extreme pictures, and we've been there. We've been in the renovation world before, and trying to run and trying to work, and so we feel you, Mark. Strong body for sure.
He
well
put the
done.
pictures up in the Facebook page.
Yeah,
I need to check those out.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mark is his name.
Mark, yeah.
Mark, I love renovating, and
yes,
that is on Eddie, and it's on our dream list.
Our bucket list.
Yes.
Wait, what is to renovate?
To get a little piece of junk of a house and renovate it.
Oh yeah, well
yeah. I love the renovations.
Now that we've
living in them though, it is hard.
That's a nightmare.
Especially if you have children, pets. It's just you wake up and that's what you see.
Yeah.
You see everything out of place.
Yep.
You see everything incomplete, and it's dusty and dirty, and it feels kind of like a burden on your shoulders. Like, this is going to take a long time. It's not like sweeping up the floor in your kitchen and doing the dishes at the end of the night. It's months of work.
Yep.
And so we commend you. Getting in the training with that is very difficult. Yeah. And I remember when we moved to Bend, we ripped our house up right away. It was August 2020.
Yep.
And it wasn't until the end of November. That's when you finished the fireplace.
Yep.
And end of November is when we actually got a couch.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it was like, a solid 3.5 months of just
standing.
A torn up home.
Yeah.
Just standing. We'd watch TV just standing. We'd sit on the ladder.
People looking in the window, like, the new neighbors are weird.
They are really weird.
They just stand and watch
No, but that's big shout for that.
So well done, Mark. We see you, buddy. Good job. All right, the last one. I chose this one, Strong Love. And I really, really like this one because I see how strong love can work in here twice. So this is from Mindy Laundry. OMG, the best day ever. My hat and my hoodie came. She's got a picture of her wearing the Sally hat. And my husband surprised me with a plant I had been wanting. Yes, it's huge. She's standing in front of this huge, huge plant. I am certain that this hat will make me so much faster when I run tomorrow. So I thought, hey, this is strong love. She's got a strong love for the hat and for the hoodie. But let's talk about her husband surprising her with a giant plant. Now, that is some strong love from him to her. So shout out to Mindy's husband for surprising her with a plant. So that brings me to another question. Sally, what is the best surprise that I have ever given you?
Oh my!
You ready for that?
Wow, that caught me by surprise.
I know, because
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
You are so good at just bringing me surprises throughout the week.
Yeah, I am.
You
are. What do I do?
Well, I can't. I've lost count of how many times I will be at my computer working.
Yeah.
And you walk through the door with a hot coffee or something that I love to eat. That is my love language. Food and drink. You've heard
hot
me talk
Americanos.
About it. Yeah, a lot
Can't
of hot
go wrong.
Americanos or breakfast burrito or
so good.
We love Jan's health food bar. Oh, they have such good soup and wraps and
let's go there in a little bit. Actually.
I know. I was just gonna say, let's go there. That sounds good. Now you think about that. That's like when you start talking about what you're gonna eat at the end of a long run when you're out running with your friends. And if you are running right now, I'm sorry, but honestly, like, what are you gonna eat when you're done running?
Some of that hot soup. On a cold day.
Oh my God. Hot soup on a cold day. And we have
broccoli
a storm.
Cheddar. Oh.
Can we just be honest?
Clam chowder.
And
some soft bread. Oh. So good.
Eddie's got a long list apparently. But what our favorite coffee house in Huntington Beach is the Corner Market.
Yeah.
It's a mom and pop shop that's nestled inside a neighborhood. So I love it because it's primarily just locals.
It's hard to find. Yeah.
It's hard to find. Not a lot of people know about it. Maybe people will now because we get a lot of downloads on this podcast. So if you're in Huntington Beach, that is the place to go. Make sure you say that Eddie and Sally sent you.
Yeah.
But everything is freshly made.
Uh-huh.
And you can order, they do these handmade pizzas on the weekends. So you can pre-order these pizzas and they're all different kinds of flavors. This morning we picked up, because a storm's rolling in tonight, and I told Eddie, how awesome would it be to get this? But it was a spinach and feta.
You say storm, like as if we're going to get snowed in or something.
Oh yeah,
like,
we should tell
we
people.
Can't go out
Our
tomorrow.
Storm is rain. Our storm is,
There's
but
like
it's
30% chance of rain. Yeah,
okay.
That's a big storm for us.
30 to 40 mile per hour winds.
Okay,
that's actually real. So
I'm not going outside.
But I told Eddie, I was like pumping up this big quiche that they had in the fridge there, this spinach and feta quiche. And I said, how awesome when the kids wake up in the morning to the smell of this quiche. And then we also got, they make fresh bread every day. Mm-hmm. And you and I are big sourdough bread fans. It's one of the only types of bread that I eat. Yeah. That, and I like the Ezekiel bread. And so we got a loaf of that bread. but they also make their own pimiento cheese.
So good.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, I don't know if it's good. It just looks good.
Are
We
you
haven't
kidding
had
me? A cheese dip?
I'm assuming that's theirs though. Like
It will be
I'm
amazing.
sure it's going to be amazing.
Everything they make is incredible. So we have this hot this fresh sourdough bread. We got this pimiento cheese. We got this big quiche. I'm like,
bring on the storm.
Bring on the storm, baby.
On the storm.
We're turning on the fire. It's gonna be a good night.
You can storm all week.
It's all comfort food tomorrow. But anyway, that is our favorite coffee house. Eddie, the gifts that you have brought me over the years, I don't know if there are very many that stick out to me more than when we got engaged. That is still my favorite gift of all time. And that is when you, with your own two hands, took a golf ball, cut it in half, stuffed it with velvet, and then placed in there the ring that you designed to propose to me. That is still, that golf ball, I still have it.
Yep.
I love it. It's so original. No one else
It is very original.
has
You're right.
one. And that's probably one of my favorite gifts. Also, I'm just going to call you out right here. He also wrote me a song and surprised me on our wedding day in front of 400 plus people and sang to me this song. That was his wedding vow.
That's right.
So I don't know
that.
what can top those things. The gifts you give are pretty extravagant. Throughout the year, it's the handwritten cards. I mean, yeah.
You know, so as I was thinking, your surprises are pretty fun, but the one Valentine's Day in college.
I know you're
so
gonna say it.
Thinking back, I was thinking of this when I was writing that question to ask you, but I was thinking, man, so Sally, for Valentine's Day when we were dating in college, she had me go to the mailbox on campus, and she went with me, and it was this tiny little mailbox, and then in there it said, oh, you have a package or whatever. And the package was this 4-foot cardboard
refrigerator box.
But it was a smallish. 4 feet is pretty big. 4 feet, probably by 2 feet, right? I mean, It was a big size box. And she put on the outside red, pink, cardboard paper, right? And put some hearts on it, and it was gigantic. And so I'm pulling it out. They're giving it to me, and Sally's just looking at my face, and I'm just so embarrassed. I'm oh my gosh, what? It was. Everybody starts looking. It was lunchtime.
It was our first year dating.
I don't remember.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, he doesn't like this. And then I was he's so embarrassed right now.
Yeah, I mean, because it was gigantic. It was colorful. And then you open it up, and attached to the lid of the cardboard is these balloons come up. It was this full on spectacle. And I'm very low key, hey, you can give me one of those Valentine heart candies and I'm good. But you're nope, we're going big. I'm getting you this humongous refrigerator box for your present. Looking back now, it was pretty epic, but at the time I was pretty embarrassed. But that was a big surprise.
This is the beginning.
I was not expecting that.
This is the beginning of a relationship when we were still learning about each other. I mean, we have been best friends.
You're he's gonna love this.
He's gonna love this, and he didn't. And in fact, I was as a normal 19-year-old girl would be, was almost sad.
You spent all this time,
I stayed up till 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
and I was expecting.
I did feel bad about that.
No, this is a very immature.
I know, but
this is emotional immaturity. This is being immature in a relationship, where you do something expecting because you want the expected reaction.
Yeah.
And that is actually in some ways kind of a selfish stance. It's
Sure.
well, I would love this,
Yeah.
so he better love it. And this is how I would react, so he better react that way. And you didn't at all. And so I took that as he doesn't like it. And then I was kind of embarrassed. But, that was the beginning of you and I learning how we show love to each other and what each other likes. Yes, I learned very quickly. You don't like a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because I'll tell you, listeners, this is why initially it was so hard to coax Eddie even onto the podcast. I don't think people understand. We talk about this weekly because we get this whenever I ask for questions for the podcast. People are like, can Eddie please be on every single week? And I'm like, no, he can't. Do you know how hard it is? Ben, you've grown a lot. We are in season 3 now, and and
Yeah.
you're amazing. But I think your natural tendency is to shy away from the camera, from attention.
Yeah.
He just got an Instagram a few years ago. So that was a big deal too. So yeah, that story is so great.
Yeah, that was fun.
I remember that because I took a picture of it. I should find that picture.
Yeah, you should.
Because the look on your face when I took it was like, okay.
Hey, let's hurry up and move and get this to
You
the
wanted it in
house.
the car.
I wanted.
I think you wanted to get rid of it.
Not really. Yeah, I just wanted to like be
Out
done
of sight.
with. Yeah.
I mean,
so
you checked it like
nobody
at
else
the
was
peak of lunch
staring.
hour.
Oh, it was so crowded.
The mailbox is in the middle of like the quad area. It's surrounded by the coffee houses and the cafes, and like everyone saw it.
Yeah. It was
So
pretty
good.
awesome though.
So good. Pausing here for a quick message from Inside Tracker. The path to better health isn't rocket science, it's health science. For something as valuable as your health, there's no reason to leave anything to chance. So whether you want to improve your heart health, cognition, metabolism, sleep, stress levels, or overall health span, Inside Tracker reveals the exact areas of your health that need improvement through comprehensive blood testing, DNA analysis, sleep and fitness tracker data, and your current daily habits. Inside Tracker's scientists have shifted through the research so that you don't have to. So stop playing guessing games. When it comes to your health and longevity, you can save 20% on all of Inside Tracker tests with the code SALLY at checkout.
All right. Anyways, that was wow. It's been like an hour, and that was like our intro, I think.
Yeah,
Is that the longest intro we've ever had?
I thought last week was a long intro, but yes, that is the longest intro. But this is great because there's a lot of people that have 2-3 hour long run.
That's true.
Today.
So we're doing it for the people.
We're doing it for the
We
people.
are doing it for the people.
We are. And I want to just dive into your training right now. I know a lot of people are following along. The Eddie runs a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
Following your journey to, how many days do you have until LA Marathon?
I think it's
We're in the
46.
46 days until.
I have the exact number. Go keep talking. I'll look it up. I have it right here.
So Eddie will be running the LA Marathon in March. And for that, he's
46 days. Yes, I was correct.
46 days. He's taken a lot of steps that I just want to highlight these things because the truth about you, Eddie, is your approach to this, who you are, how you operate in running and fitness. It's so relatable. And I feel like every time that you and I have a conversation, I get excited thinking about, wow, you could really encourage and connect with so many of our listeners because the life that you live is very real. You're a wonderful dad who's very involved in your kids' lives. You and I get to work, we do real work every single day. We have a full schedule every single day. So on top of that, you're trying to figure out how to put the training in. Our listeners got to hear last week about a very unideal situation in which you had to get your long run in, which turned into like the most ideal memory that you got to make with your daughter, with our daughter. And I feel that what you have been going through since the beginning of this program is, at first I was really bummed. I was so sad for you that after you had come out of like, okay, I'm going to do a consistent fitness build, you use the 6-week program in my app just to build up consistency and get some fitness in there. Through that, you had been the most consistent of that entire year of 2023. And I was like, wow, like he's really serious about getting in shape and getting ready to tackle a marathon training program. And then as you started it, you had this horrific nerve pain, this pinched nerve in your back that has made you numb all the way down your arm into your hand. You're having trouble sleeping. Your sleeping has been really bad. You can't turn a certain way. It's affected a lot of things. In that we tried moving, so all these things became difficult for you. And then it was wondering, should I move my marathon to later in the year? Can I actually do this? What I found was this is so true for a lot of our listeners who work so hard toward a goal. And then it's like they sprain that ankle or they come down with an illness or something in their life tragic happens or sad happens or something in a relationship that's just crushing. And I think that as humans, we can all actually relate in the hardships more than when someone has a smooth pass and everything is just,
Yeah.
rainbows and horseshoes and everything goes well.
Yeah.
And that's what we all want. We desire that when we set out on a goal, that it's going to go smoothly, that we're going to hit all the mini goals along the way, that we're going to have this amazing experience, that those runs at sunrise and sunset are just going to be beautiful, and we're going to feel strong and feel fitter with every run. And then we are going to smash that time goal. We're going to smash that goal that we set out to do. That is the hope for us in everything we do, not just in running. But what has been true of your journey is that every week has been hard.
Yeah.
I have not seen you pain-free since November.
Yeah.
And as your wife, that's been very difficult for me because, as a coach, as a trainer, is this what I do for a living? I've been trying to figure out all the different avenues of what I can do to make you feel better. So, from seeing different PTs to now you're seeing sometimes twice a week a chiropractor. You're doing all the exercises at home. You are icing. You're doing everything possible to allow yourself to heal. But what we're learning is that there is nothing that we can do to force speeding up the recovery, but really you getting out for a run isn't harmful for you.
Yeah.
It's just that you are going to be uncomfortable if you're going to choose to run. And so that's what you've chosen to do. Now, obviously, if it was like, oh, you tore your hamstring and you're like, I'm going to push through this, I'd probably pull back on that and be like, well, we don't want to rip the hamstring off the bone.
Right.
Let's maybe revisit this. But there are people that are listening who have similar situations where, maybe they have a neuroma in their foot. And it's there's nothing to be done about that.
Yeah.
So you're either going to choose to live with the neuroma and have it be a part of every workout that you do, and it's not really going to change either way. Or you're just not ever going to do the things that you love anymore because of that neuroma.
Yeah.
And like me, I know I've talked about my spine and different things that I've dealt with. That's why I strength train so much, so that my back won't hurt, so that my back won't be a factor, the hips and the back. That's just the way I was made. And so I can make it the excuse, or I can learn to get as strong as I possibly can and push through that. So listeners can relate to this. And so I want to kind of dive in a little bit with what we've been doing in your training. I want you to actually share about that, what the week is always like for you.
Yeah.
Having me coach you through this. And then we're just going to kind of dialogue back and forth, because it is something that I know we tend to be very fearful of pain and discomfort. And I even know every time I put out an episode on YouTube talking about the 200s, and the most recent one, if you haven't checked that out yet, on my personal podcast, Sally McRae, my personal YouTube channel, I just put out the lessons I learned in racing the Grand Slam. And one of the things I did focus on was the choice to push through discomfort or not. And I'm always getting comments of people saying, aren't you worried about destroying your body? Aren't you worried about doing permanent damage? Aren't you afraid of, really doing something wrong? And when it comes down to it, the very simple answer is everyone is unique and different, and only you can feel your body. The best doctor in the world can't feel what you feel. And the more that you listen to your body and you get to know your body and you test it in little ways, the better that you will get at understanding how to operate. So first, I want to start at the top and just say, how has your training been for you in the last couple weeks? And then we are going to talk about what we have been doing specifically to get you where you are today, because we are just a couple days out from doing your first race of 2024, which is a beloved race that you do every year, whether you have trained for it or not. And that is the Surf City Half Marathon, which runs right through our neighborhood.
Yeah. So the last few weeks, maybe once or twice, but I don't think I've felt great at any workout that you've given me. Something has always nagged or bothered me, and I've for whatever reason, I don't know if it's partly because of my neck and back issue that I've been dealing with, or the lack of sleep because of it. But I just haven't felt like I guess my legs have just always felt heavy. Like I've just felt like sluggish and tired. And I feel like thinking back to even a few years ago where I would barely train, to pull off a half marathon, like I was a lot faster even when I wasn't really like doing much, versus now I'm running a little bit more and I'm just feeling like just really like slow. I don't know how to put that, just like tired and slow. So I haven't felt like great, just pretty sluggish. And I've been trying to pull off everything that you've told me to do, but and that's even with like some of the extra stuff, like doing the runners kind of mobility and putting that into some of the the weekly rotation stuff. So, but overall, I've not felt great. Yeah.
Fitness wise, what I've noticed watching you is I can see your body changing.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that you have leaned out, toned up.
Yeah, well, so I think for me, I've always been like that, where if I start increasing my running consistently, like I will like thin out pretty quickly. Obviously
all the women are listening and being like, yeah, must be nice, not fair.
Well, and
Eddie's always had that like metabolism. There's like some memes going around where it's like, gene. That's the McRae. Yeah, it's the McRae gene. I feel like I remember too, like postpartum with both the kids and trying to get back into like a healthy space where I the joints didn't hurt, and I had a lot of weight to lose with both the kids, but I remember I used to tease you about that. I'm like, must be nice. Like you try to get in shape and you stop eating chips for a week and you drop like 15 pounds. Like it's just not fair. No,
I think to your point, I think it's because, I've been consistently running. I have not been lifting, which I usually do. Like I'll do at least a couple times, a week that I'd be doing some type of like, bench press and, back stuff or whatever, arms, but I haven't done any of that. So, obviously I've thinned out because of that. And this whole past month, I haven't had any alcohol, which, isn't like I wasn't like a drunk before, but like,
every now and then you'd have some red wine.
Right. So I think cutting that out and, maybe being a little bit more, cognizant of what I'm eating, not like super strict, but like just kind of keeping an eye on what I eat. I think all those obviously contribute to, the way my body responds. And so I don't know. I feel like, I feel like I'm getting fitter for sure, but just have not felt great.
So I'm going to break down a little bit my approach. And I feel like this is where listeners can gain a little bit more insight into how I've been training you, because the goal for me was to create a plan, which was going to be called Eddie's Marathon Training Plan, that was going to go in the app. So I was really excited about this. And now I'm like, and now I can't make that, because the training program that I have constructed for you is so customized. And it has to be like every couple days I can give you something.
Yeah.
Usually I like to, okay, for the next 2 weeks, this is what we're doing. But we have had to take it day by day.
Yep.
And that is what I consider to be patient training. And sometimes it can feel very, what's the word that I want to use? You can feel very uneasy in that, because if you don't have the confidence of a training plan that says, all right, this is going to see you through to the next 2 weeks. This is what we're doing. This is the projected, but you understand that like everything weighs on how I feel when I get up in the morning. And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to only focus on, okay, I don't want to say that it's hard to only focus on that one workout, but it forces you to discipline yourself to not think about anything else except that one workout. If I talk too much about 26 miles right now with you, that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And can bring a lot of anxiety for you, because how you're feeling right now is if I said you're going to run 26 miles right now, that
I'm screwed. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
However, I can honestly say that at the end of November, last year, which was only like 12 weeks ago,
Yeah.
even the idea of you running 8 miles was out of the question.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be hitting your 15, 16 mile run coming up. And so to know that even though you're uncomfortable right now, but you look back at how much you have progressed, how much improvements you have made is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way that you were able to improve was by taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Because we have had a lot of days where I've had to say, okay, you're just going to go ride the bike.
Yeah.
And that, I know for you, because you've been an athlete your whole life, that doesn't feel like you're doing anything.
No,
that feels like, how am I progressing towards a marathon when all I'm doing is riding a bike? But my approach to this has been to build up your mind that if you are consistently doing something every day, you are naturally going to become more confident. You will gain fitness. It might not be in the leaps and bounds that maybe you normally would. But there is, without a doubt, when you show up to do something every single day, 12 weeks pass and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You realize that those teeny tiny improvements have now added up to you look in the mirror and you don't look the same way that you do back in November. Mm-hmm. And you are faster, not as fast as you want to be, but you are faster than you were in November.
Yeah.
And you also are able to cover more miles than you did in November. So this is what I've done. My goal in the beginning for Eddie, especially in December, was to weigh really heavily on cross training as the way to get him to continue being consistent in his workouts. Because he did do the 6-week program, or maybe it was the 30-day program in my app, which is always there. If you guys ever want to try it, if you want to just check it out, my app is free for a week. But those are great plans, the 30-day and the 6-week program, to use to get into fitness and get into some consistent training. And there's beginner, intermediate, advanced levels in there. So Eddie used that, and I wanted to continue that. So one of the things that I did was I put him in the gym a lot for 2 reasons. The gym allows you to pivot when something isn't working out, and you have options. So I remember being at the gym with you back in December. This was at 24 Hour. Mm-hmm. And you had done the bike, and literally it was like, okay, now what do I do, Sally? And I wanted you to hike on the treadmill. And then you came to me and said, that hurts. Yeah. And so I then had to put you back on the bike. And then there was something else I had you do too. But like, I literally had to walk you through that workout at the gym, because the idea is this: do your best at choosing activities where you're not in pain the entire time, especially like acute pain. And at this time, you hadn't seen a PT or a chiropractor yet. We were hoping that we could kind of come out of this. Yeah. And so there was no work that had been done on you. But then, so at that time I said, do all the things that you can do that you're not in pain. And then we got like a diagnosis, and then you started getting work on you. And then we realized, okay, you will probably have some discomfort, but you running, doing the stair mill, doing the bike, that as long as it's not increasing or making it worse, which thankfully it hasn't, you've actually been getting teeny tiny bit better. Right. The numbness in your hand is slowly going away. Your body's getting a little bit stronger. And that's how we knew we could progress with the running. Mm-hmm. The running then has grown from like 3 days a week to 4 days a week. So my goal is to always give Eddie 4 days of running. I think that you can safely and very powerfully train for a marathon running only 3 to 4 days a week. What you're doing in between there is very valuable as well. And so in between those days, my message to Eddie is what you do after the day running is to prepare you to run again. Mm-hmm. And it's also to allow you that physical break from pounding.
Those are my favorite days, by the way.
So what are the things that you do on the days that you're not running that you do enjoy? Because I give you options every time. And I say, just go to the gym. You're there for 1 to 2 hours. Sometimes you're there for 2 hours. What are the things that you like to do? I think it's grace and freedom. I think you feel like, yes, now I can just kind of do whatever I want.
Let's see. So last week, I went to the gym and I think I hiked for a little bit, like, just walking on the treadmill. And then I did a little bit of the bike. And then I remember doing some of the knee and exercises and the step ups, and I went in the sauna. I think I did some stretching and some rolling out, and that took an hour and a half. But it was all very, like, whenever I was wanting to do something else, I did something else, and it was very low impact and very low key, and I just love doing it on those days. Yeah.
And that's what a gym is great for, because you have 5 different options for cardio typically. You have ellipticals, rowers, you have a treadmill, you have a bike, you have the recumbent bike.
What's a recumbent bike?
It's the one that sits back.
Oh, yeah.
The one that's low.
Yeah.
And then, depending on your gym, I know at 24 Hour, I think there's like 6 different machines. They have like that Strider elliptical that, it kind of mimics or imitates the running stride.
Yeah.
So what you're then able to do, and especially if you are bored at the gym, one of my favorite things is do everything for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I give this, when I was doing online coaching, I would give this a lot to athletes that were doing a cross training day and they're like, I literally hate the gym. And I say, well, to keep it interesting, remember, you can do anything for 10 minutes. And then sometimes 10 minutes is your limit. Like, okay, I can do the elliptical for 10 minutes. Okay, do that for 10 minutes, then get off and do the bike for 10 minutes. Then go do the stair mill, then go hike on the treadmill. Oh my gosh, you got 40, 50 minutes of cardio taken care of. And you're
That's so funny, because today I was thinking about what I'm going to be doing, because you'd said it's a cross training day. And I already wrote down, I'm going to do 15 minutes on the stairs, 15 minutes on the bike, 15 minutes elliptical, and 15 minutes hiking.
It's awesome.
That's an hour.
Yeah.
And then I'll go do the stretching and stuff like that.
That's perfect. And I love stuff like that, because you're working different muscle groups.
Yeah.
Mentally, you're able to stay engaged.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing too, is it's really easy to lose touch of our workout and really what we're doing when we are bored or we don't like it. So if you don't have any enthusiasm, you're not going to put effort into it. But if you know, like, I'm just doing this for 10 minutes, like, all right, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. It's only 10 minutes.
And the beauty of those 4 exercises, I can watch my Welcome to Wrexham the whole time. So
look at that.
Bonus. Hit the bonus.
That's actually really what he's looking forward to tonight. That's why he's got this big smile. He knows
I think I'll be at the gym for 2 hours tonight.
Hey, no judgments. No judgments. So that's been a big focus, is daily customized training.
Yeah.
We check in. Eddie typically asks me every couple days, okay, what am I doing the next couple days? We check in with the body and check in on his running. But it's rare that I'll there's only like once that you'll do like 2 days straight of running.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to put cross training or recovery day in between there so that your runs are quality.
Yeah. So like this week, Monday, I had a complete rest day. Like I didn't do anything just because I felt my body was really trashed from the weekend. And I just was like, I need to just not do anything. And then Tuesday was the 8 miles that you had me do a workout with. And then today will be a cross training. Tomorrow is a run workout that you have not told me what that is, I don't think, but that's what you're going to have me do. Friday is another cross training. And then Saturday I'll run. And then Sunday I'm running the 13, maybe even more, right? So that's
Sunday,
4 days.
So we're training you through the Surf City Half Marathon. You've already run a half marathon a couple times in this training program. But I know you love this race. You're running with Jason Humes, and this is just a fun community event that you've been a part of for years. And a shout out to, there's someone from the race, man, I forgot her name, who works for the race.
Oh yeah.
And is excited to see us there. There's a few other people in the community that are wondering if we're going to be there. So yes, we will be there.
Hey, Carrie and Gavin Prince, shout out to them.
Yes, that's
they
right.
Will be there. Some
that's
friends
right.
of ours. Yes.
I think this is going to be Gavin Prince's first half marathon.
It is, yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to run it together.
Oh, yeah.
But they're going to be at the start line together.
Yep.
So
it'd be good to see them.
Carrie's one of my best friends, one of my best life friends, and her son is going to be running the half marathon for the first time. I love that. It's a family affair.
Yeah, it is.
So we are going to be training you through that. You will run some additional miles later in the day after the half marathon. So this is a big week for you. This is probably one of your biggest weeks of run training.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 workouts, not high intensity workouts, but a run workout is when you have specific details to hit.
Wait, what am I doing tomorrow then?
You're doing a fartlek. Fartleks are fun. It's Swedish for speed play. So we'll dive more into that.
Okay.
Tomorrow. Look at his face. Is like,
I'm
what?
like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
You'll love it. Fartleks are different from intervals. See, intervals have structured work and structured rest.
That's what I did last night, right?
Yes, that's what you did last night.
Okay.
You did a couple miles on, a mile off, couple miles on, mile off. So, and you ran it faster than we had discussed by 30 seconds. So that was super cool.
Yeah.
Very, very encouraging. Now, Eddie, I think one of the points of discussion that I want to tie into all of this is if you continue to feel the way you do, I know that your legs feel heavy, this isn't ideal, you're battling discomfort. Let's envision that your race is next week. Mm-hmm. And that is how you're going to embark on your marathon. Have you considered some things that you're going to be telling yourself, or what is going to be your mindset going into the marathon? What are some goals that you've been thinking about having for this race?
I'm going to look around and just say, you know what, if that dude can do it, I can do it.
There's enough people at the start line that you can do it. Come on now, to our listeners, how many times have you been motivated by that? You look around at someone that's literally 40 years older than you, and they're telling you that this is their 80th race, and you're like, okay, if you can do it, I can do
one.
It.
Yeah, honestly, like as funny as that is, like that does give me like some encouragement, like just knowing that, like, you know what, there's thousands and thousands of people like lining up. Like I don't need to know their prep and what they did to get here, but dude, if they can do it, I can do it, and because I didn't maybe prepare the most that I wanted to and, how I wanted to, but, I didn't just like wake up this morning and decide I wanted to run a marathon either. Right. Like, so I'm in between and I can pull it off. So I think that, will definitely help. But other than that, I haven't really thought about what I'm going to be. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's best to set specific goals when you're 3 to 4 weeks out from a race. And but you can also set goals when you sign up for that race, and then you assess and reassess. I think that's very wise, and it's good to have an A, B, and C goal. So for some people, the A goal is, I would love to finish in this time. B goal is I would love to be in the top 100 in my age group. C goal is like, I want to finish. Like, that's the most important thing to me. I just want to get past that finish line and get that medal and say that I completed my marathon.
I think that's where I'm at this point,
is wanting to finish.
Yeah, just wanted to finish. I mean, like you said, it's like even just this past month, I've been slowly starting to actually train for it. So, I mean, obviously that's not enough time to pull off like what you want to do in a marathon. So, given the limited amount of time that I've been able to actually train, I feel like just completing it will be a success for me. So I've kind of put time frames kind of out the door, especially just kind of how I've been feeling lately. So,
well, I think that is a really good point. And I do need to highlight, though, that this situation isn't, oh, well, I hurt myself, so I'll just see what I can do on race day. Mm-hmm. The truth is, every day you've been doing something.
Yeah.
Every day you've had a focus, whether it is a recovery day or it's a run workout or you're doing that cross training. This is by far the most consistent training I've seen you do in many years.
Yeah, you're right.
And that is something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who have encountered, whether it's injury or just setbacks, or there's something outside of the training that's keeping you from doing the training that you want, I'll say it again, you have to celebrate the things that you're doing right.
Yeah.
And this idea that to do your best with what you have, with what you're given in that season, at that time. See, seasons come and go. The way that you feel today, Eddie, you're not always going to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the back is going to get better. Eventually, the nerve stuff is going away. And you know what? There's also a possibility that that's something that you'll have to deal with for the rest of your life if it comes and goes. Yeah, I hope not too. And you're working really hard at taking care of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really proud of you that, because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to plan the doctor appointments and drive out there and take care of them and do the PT exercises. I mean, that's work in itself. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of us, it's easy to settle into the discomfort and just make that the new normal for our life. Mm-hmm. And realize, I'm just going to kind of limp through this. And we don't take the time to take care of ourselves. And the thing is that you listeners, you deserve to take care of yourself. You get one body, you get one shot, and there is always something that we can all work on, because our bodies do deteriorate every day. And our bodies, they break down, they rebuild, they break down, they get older, they age. And it is our job to take care of our machine. Yep. And to do the best with it, as best we can. When it comes to permanent stuff, permanent, whether it's having permanent limited mobility, permanent aches and pain. I mean, again, that goes back to the individual and really assessing and feeling out what it is that we can do. But I always like to kind of touch on that and highlight the hope that we can still have, even if we are operating in unideal situations, because whether we are reaching those goals or we're frustrated, or we're beginning again, we have the ability to learn and grow, no matter what stage we're in. And we are so much more capable of enduring things than we actually think we are. Mm-hmm. I think that had you not signed up for this marathon, had it not been in your mind, let's say that you were like, I'll sign up for it next year, like in February, I'll pick one next year. You signed up for the marathon, and then it was like 3-4 weeks later when you got the back pain. Mm-hmm. And I think because you had set that goal for yourself, you committed to achieving it no matter what. Yeah. And that is really powerful. So having that goal at the forefront helped you stay disciplined and consistent. But had you not had that in place, I don't know where we would be right now. Yeah. You could possibly be sitting around upset and frustrated and like, whatever, when this ends, then I'll get back in the gym. And I don't think that's uncommon. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, even when we are in a rough season in life, or when we're not feeling great about our body, or we're trying to work through an injury or work through an uncomfortable situation, still keeping an eye on those goals can be exactly what we need. Mm. We need to keep our eyes forward and ahead with hope, knowing that even if the steps are not ideal, even if the steps don't feel strong, that we are still capable of doing something. Yep. And I think that this is going to be the marathon experience for you, is every day it's assessing. Yeah. Every day it's figuring out, how can I get through this workout as strong as I can, as best I can? And your improvements have been much smaller and have required way more patience than in all the years past when you've trained for a half marathon. But I think what you're doing in that is you're building a very strong and resilient mind, because you've shown yourself what you can do despite all that. Mm-hmm. And that's powerful for other things in your life. Yeah. And as an outsider, I don't want that for you. I wanted this to be a pain-free, fun adventure of hitting that marathon, but it's turned into something else. But I'll tell you what, Eddie, it's been really inspiring to see you tackle this marathon program in this way, because it's not ideal, but I know the goal matters to you,
Mm-hmm.
and crossing that finish line, it matters to you. And through that, you've just become a better version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. March 17th coming quickly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
March 17th is also when, is that when your dry January ends?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
You'll enjoy a beer at the finish line.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I could do that. All right. Do you want to go through some questions that people had? Coaching specific running questions?
Yeah, this is an all-around running episode
Yeah.
today, and so I'd love to tackle some of our listener questions. I think that a lot of people are going to gain some encouragement from what we just shared, but
Yeah.
we do love hearing from you, our audience. And so we ask people to send in questions, and I know that you have some,
Yeah.
and I have a couple. So let's go ahead and tackle those.
Okay.
All right. So we have gotten quite a few questions about hill training, about living in a flat area, but you're training for like a mountainous or hilly
Yes.
course. So I've chosen this one to kind of encompass all of that. This is Ryan LeBlanc 7. Thank you so much for writing in, Ryan. And he
Yes.
asks, what?
Yes. Good. Thanks, Ryan. I was just giving Ryan a little shout out.
His profile picture is really cool too. It looks like he's in the mountains.
Is it Ryan Reynolds? No, we already said Ryan.
All right. The obsession
right.
with Ryan Reynolds continues.
Moving on.
How do you train for a race with elevation when you live in a flat area? And he says, I appreciate it. So a couple things, and this is so important. When you are entering the world of trail running and ultra running, it is not only set out and set apart for people that live at a trailhead or live in the mountains. I'd say the majority of the community doesn't.
Right.
You know, a lot of us, even if we live in surrounding mountains like you and I do, the big mountains like Mount Baldy, at that 10,000 foot mountain I love to train on, that's a 50 minute drive from here. And so a lot of the training, you know, because of time, you know, it's going to be done locally. And if you are training for a mountain race, or that is your desire, but you feel like I can't do it because I live in a flat area, this answer is for you. First and foremost, if you can get access to a treadmill, that is going to be a massive help to you, at least for the uphill part of the training. Now, I don't know if it's like this in other states, but you know, we have local gyms around here. They do like the $19 a month, and that alone is just so worth it. If you're paying $19 a month just to use the treadmill as much as you want. So there's 2 key machines that I will use at a gym for mountain training, especially when I can't get to the mountain. And also what I recommend to athletes who are not able to get to a mountain or live in that area. So treadmill uphill workouts are amazing, and you can do a lot of key workouts. You can put on your training vest, your hydration vest, and you can fill that up with all of your race day gear, so you can really get a feel for what it's like to go uphill while carrying a pack. I can't tell you enough how valuable that is. There are some people who get to race day and they're like, oh my gosh, my pack is so heavy, when it's full of a bladder and all the food and the gear that I want to have. So practice with that. Practice, you know, hiking uphill for 30 minutes straight. Practice at different inclines. Maybe start off with a 6% incline and see how well you hike it. 3.5 speed. Can you do that for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? Move the incline up and down. You can go to 6%, 10%, 12%. The treadmill that we have goes up to 40%. Some treadmills in the gyms go up to 20%. So play around with the different percentages. You can even get really specific and look at the elevation profile on the race website that you're racing for, and you can assimilate that on a treadmill. Right down to the miles. If you know that there's 3 miles where you will climb, 4,000 feet, which is super steep, try and do that on your treadmill and just see what that feels like. The other thing that you can do is the stair mill. Now, I like the stair mill because it forces you to drive your knees up. And so you're also working on that hip flexor strength, which is so important, just picking up your feet. I believe that the stair mill is the hardest machine in the gym. If you want a good sweat, you want to work hard, use the stair mill and don't use the handles.
It's
my
like
goodness.
10 minutes, you're already like getting a
Sweating.
good sweat. Yeah, I love that machine.
And you don't even need to move that fast.
No, yeah.
So the stair mill, not all gyms have this machine. It's a big, expensive machine.
Yeah.
We go to LA Fitness in 24 Hour here in Southern California. And both of those gyms have several of them, and they are turning into a very popular machine. So they used to not be popular. They just like these big beasts. So I'm not talking about the stair stepper, the Stairmaster, which was really popular in the 90s and early 2000s. The stair mill is revolving stairs. Now, the cool thing that you can do with that, and you can use the handles. Don't think that you can't, but it does provide a different type of training stimulus when you don't use the handles. But you can add a weight vest to those workouts. You can also turn them into heat training workouts. So sometimes I will get on the stair mill and I'll put on several layers, and I'll just get on that thing and just climb for an hour and a half and just sweating buckets, just getting uncomfortable. So those two things, the treadmill and the stair mill, are fantastic for uphill training, for mountainous runs, for big mountain runs, for those of you that are looking to race internationally in the Alps. Having time on your feet where you are climbing continuously for 1 to 2 hours is really powerful. Now, the one negative in that is trying to find treadmills that go downhill. Now, I think it's 24 Hour Fitness. They have treadmills that go downhill all the way to -6%, which is awesome. Wow. And there is a very specific training stimulus you get when you are continuously running downhill. You really start to season those quads and get used to the pounding that comes with running downhill. Now, there's other things that you can do, like box jumps, like jumping off a box, landing on 2 feet in that squat position, doing that over and over again. If you can find areas around town that have even just little hills where you can do downhill repeats, I think this is very important and often overlooked. I did have a client who would put cinder blocks on his treadmill on the back of it to elevate it so that he could run downhill. Now, I don't know how long his treadmill lasted, but I don't know how great that is for the motor, but that's how he trained for Hard Rock. He was an airplane pilot, and all of his training was on a treadmill. So he would climb, and then he put these blocks on the back of his treadmill and he would descend. So yes, you can train in a flat area for a mountainous race. Outdoors, what you can do is you can get to a stadium. So if you have access to a JC, like a junior college, a high school where they're going to let you do stairs, that is so good. Running up and down stadium stairs is really going to get you in shape for those mountainous runs too. Nice.
All right, I have one for you. This is from @SageJuniperTrails.
Okay.
This one I feel you get quite a bit too. It says, how do you work through your fear or running solo on trails? I feel like that's a common one with people, especially just getting into trail running. They have that one a lot where they're
I want
nervous.
to suggest episode 6, Fear and Danger on the Trails, where I talk extensively about specific stories about myself of encounters that I have had while running. It's a very powerful episode. It's a very helpful episode because I talk about safety on the trails. I talk about being aware. Somebody else had written in this group of questions that we have here, and they asked if I run with groups of people. It's rare that I run with a group of people because of the type of schedule I have, my everyday life, but also the type of training I do. It's really difficult to find people that to do the type of training I do, but also when I do it. It's pretty hard to find people. Hey,
I
on
used
a
to go with
Tuesday.
you. Remember when I think we first got married, and like after school, I'd come home and you're like, I'm going to go for 6 miles. You want to go? Yeah, let's go and run 6 miles with you. But that was like over 20 years ago, and I don't think I've ran with you since. Because now you're like, hey, I'm going out for a 30-mile run. You want to? Nope, can't. Sorry, out of my
I remember you
league.
riding your bike a lot too.
I did,
and
yeah,
talking
that's
to your
true.
mom on the phone while drinking Dr. Pepper.
And eating sunflower seeds.
And eating
Remember
sunflower
that?
seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
some
funny.
good times right there.
Yeah. So running by myself used to be a massive fear. And when I say massive, I mean paralyzing fear for me. And it took me a while to become confident and really understand how to operate out in the mountains and on the trails by myself. Now I love it. I don't think twice about it. I think I have very good awareness, and there's definitely things that I do to keep myself safe and stuff that I carry to make sure that I'm safe. And anyway, that episode, Fear and Danger on the Run, listen to that and you'll gain a lot of really great insight. Hopefully that'll be helpful to you too. Because I do feel like, and it's more common that I get this from women who are fearful of running on the trails by themselves.
Yep.
And, and sometimes it's fear of animals. It's fear of falling or spraining an ankle when you're, 8 miles from your car in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, hey, I have Life 360, but I feel like I need more. And I've been in all those situations. So I carry a body alarm with me and a whistle. I carry an extra battery pack for my phone. I always carry some type of light with me. When I go into the mountains, I think, if something happened to me, could I survive overnight? And that's a great rule of thumb. Nobody plans on getting injured, getting lost, or being attacked. Nobody plans for that.
No.
We always think that happens to somebody else. So make sure that your training pack has what you need to survive a night in the mountains. And that's even if you go out early in the morning, if you think that your mountain is safe. And there's lots of stories of crazy situations that people got into that they would have never believed would have happened to them.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm not one for paranoia. A lot of the things that I do obviously dictate that I'm not afraid. I don't operate in fear. And that is a choice that I make every day. I will not be afraid. I will not be fearful. However, to be respectful of what you're doing is an entirely different definition, because you respect the fact that, yes, something could happen. And so because I respect that, I'm going to prepare for it. And not that I am pessimistic or because I think all bad things happen to me. It's just, if something happens, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let fear keep me at home and pursuing what I want to do or what I know I was capable of. And that kind of goes back, Eddie, what you were saying earlier about completing a marathon. When you stand at a start line and you look around and you think, if they can do it, then I can do it too. I want you to remember that. If I can do it, you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one note I need to make, and this is specifically about mountains and trails, is not all mountain and trails are the same around the United States. Like, I probably wouldn't go out alone with nothing in Montana.
Yeah.
We don't have grizzly bears here in Southern California. Grizzly bears are no joke. And they're very territorial. You operate differently in mountains and in trails. And so I would think for the runners listening to this, they know that, like, you carry different stuff.
Yeah. If you're in Alaska, it's a different. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Alaska's the same way.
Yep.
So you're carrying bear spray. You're just carrying different stuff.
Yeah.
Canada, for our Canadian listeners.
Yep.
So I respect that. I also found too, when I was running on the East Coast, like in North Carolina, all of their trails are inside. Like, you are covered in trees, roots, moss. No one can see you. See, the mountain I run on, Mount Baldy, it's a bald mountain.
Exposed, right?
I'm exposed. You can see me pretty much from anywhere. if I were to light a flare or put a light up or anything and it was night and you're going by, like you would be able to find me. I can see for miles and miles for most of the routes up there. But it's different when you're in a green tunnel for miles and miles and miles. And that proposes different risks and different situations. So
it's pretty though.
It is beautiful. But I think you first have to study and get to know your surroundings. And in some situations, you just know, like, yeah, when I run here, I always need to be running with someone.
Yeah.
That's not a good place for me to run alone. And I'm like that. There are certain places I'm just not going to run alone.
Yeah.
But other places, I mean, I could run all day, literally, and feel completely comfortable, totally fine. So it is going to come down to your specific neighborhood, where you're located in the country. And some people listening don't even live in a safe neighborhood. Even running on the street or running at certain parts of town, or maybe their route takes them through, maybe a dangerous, part of town.
Yeah.
You have to keep those things in mind too. And I travel a lot for, for racing, for events, for speaking. And there have been times where I'm running in a brand new place. I'm like, I can feel this is probably not the smartest part of town to run on.
Yeah.
And I've literally many times turned around and gone back in the other direction. So I think what is important is listen to that, that gut when you're out running. And if something doesn't feel right, then you head back to your car. Take some time and do research about where you live. I remember when I was first starting into trail running, that's what I did. I did a lot of research, and it really eased my mind. I did research on everything, types of animals, the types of crime, anything I could find to give me peace about, okay, what is normal on this trail? What is it like being out on this trail? So episode 6, Fear and Danger on the Run. I highly encourage that to you. Listen to it, and hopefully you'll glean something good.
Nice. All right. Next one I have over here is from @bird_is_the_bird. That's the Instagram handle. I like that one. Not quite sure what it means, but hey, a lot of people say that about mine, so I like
Mo
this
Bampin'.
one. Yeah. All right. This one is a super common question that you get all the time. So I'm just going to ask it again. Run first, lift later, or lift first, run later? How do you decide?
We did a YouTube
Yep.
episode on my channel, not the Too Strong podcast, but it was on my channel last year. It was around this time.
Yeah.
The title of it says Why Lift, and it's a picture of me with a barbell on my back in a lunge position. And we discussed that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of paraphrase what I said there. This is very dependent on, 1, your lifting history, and 2, how long you have been lifting and running at the same time. Because I have been lifting since I was a teenager, I am able to handle a little bit more as it comes to strength and running than maybe someone who's brand new to lifting and is still getting sore every time they lift. The other thing is what your goals are.
Yeah.
So if you're in your off season, my recommendation is put an emphasis on heavy lifting, put an emphasis on just getting strong in your off season. And secondary is the running. So typically in my off season, I lift more and my running volume comes down. And I teach my body how to do both of those. I also recommend, if you're training for an ultra, once or twice a month, do a long run and then go lift, or vice versa. You can try it this way. Lift the night before, even in the morning before, total body, and then go do a long run. What you will find is you are tired, your body is heavy, it doesn't feel good, but it is great training for an ultra, because at some point in an ultra, that's exactly what you feel like. So when I combine heavy lifting with a long run, it's a twofold training session. It's for my mental state, and to allow my body to feel what it feels like in the late stages of an ultra. So it's totally specific. And one of the things that you cannot control in an ultra is where the mountains are. So the obsession with lift before, lift after, I say do it both. Because some of these races end with massive climbing up to the finish line. Other races start off with a bunch of climbing. And I say that climbing is strength training in disguise. It gets you really strong.
Yeah.
And so if you're combining strength training with your running, whether before or after, a couple times a month with your long run, you're going to get really strong. Now, right now, for me personally, and this is why I'm pretty general when I share my training stuff, because it's so specific to me, the way that I train is really in relation to how I've been lifting my entire life and what I've been able to build up. Ideally, if I'm going to be doing like an interval workout, a tempo run, and I want to hit paces. So yesterday is a great example. I did 10 by 3 minutes inside of 11 miles. It was a hard workout. And I then put an hour and a half of lifting later in the day. So I got the workout done because I needed to hit certain paces, but I wanted to lift because I wanted to completely empty out my body. I wanted to get every last drop of hard work out of myself and depleting the muscles, fatiguing, because today is a full-blown recovery day. Today is where I heal, where I recover, and tomorrow we get back to another workout. So being strategic with how you lift is important. Another key factor is what you are lifting. Now, I have said just in passing and very lightly, I've said, oh yeah, I'm in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, but I am not doing the same thing 5 to 6 days a week. See, sometimes I go to the gym and I will do mobility for 30 minutes. And then I might spend 15 minutes doing core strength and hip strength. And then I might spend 10 minutes just doing like shoulders and arms. But another day I might do like Metcon style lifting where I'm doing like hard rounds of weights, high reps, fast. I love workouts like that. And then I might end with really heavy lifting. Another day might be lightweight, high rep. Another day I'm in the gym. I'm doing a lot of like mat work where I'm doing like Pilates and I'm working with the band and it's just all body weight PT exercises for an hour straight. So there is always a part of our body that we can strengthen, that we can work on, but it doesn't always need to be heavy weights. I do feel that as men and women age, lifting heavy is very important. We know that both our bone density, our muscle mass, it starts to break down significantly with each passing decade, especially once you hit your 30s. And so lifting heavy is key. It's advantageous for everything you do in your total well-being. But overall, lifting the before or after, I think that will always be an ongoing discussion. And as a coach, I can say if it's a run workout day, do your run workout first and lift after. And if it is a recovery day, make your recovery day full recovery. I would say do Pilates, yoga, mobility, strength PT, body weight exercises on your recovery day. Save the weights for when you're hitting the run and do the weights after. And then lastly, if you want to get a good training effect, both mentally and physically, then lift before you long run and see how that feels. I would not do that for every long run. I'm talking like once, maybe twice a month, you would do something like that because you're going to get a very specific training effect. The most important one is going to be mentally that you will absolutely call upon on race day when you're like, wow, I am so tired. But I remember this in training when I just felt like heavy legs, achiness, and I finished that workout. I know I can finish this race.
Nice. All right. Let's try. We got time for a couple more?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you that are still running right now, we are so proud of you. Good job. Keep it up. Make sure that you're taking in that hydration. If you haven't done that yet, check yourself. If you haven't taken in calories in a while, make sure you get those calories in. Remember, the further you go, the harder it is to be ahead of your calories. We typically finish those long runs pretty depleted. And so both your electrolytes, the calories that you're taking in, keep dosing because you're going to feel better as you reach the finish.
I'm thinking right about now is when they chug that Red Bull.
Right?
2 hours in.
How many people are carrying a Red Bull in their pack?
That's true, yeah.
No, but I'll tell you what, when I first started marathoning, because that was like the rocket fuel that everyone was talking about, I would fill one of my bottles with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would wait until I'd hit like mile 16 of one of my long runs, and that's when I'd start taking it in. Yeah. And then it started, it would fizz and all that stuff because it's carbonated, but So well done on the run, you guys. We're going to keep it going here for a few more minutes.
Okay.
And we're cheering you on.
All right. So this one is how do you stay connected to friends when you are in full training mode? That's a good question. So like if someone's working, they got a family, they got, but they got some huge goals and they're trying to knock off some big training sessions. A lot of times, your friends and, since you don't see them in your house, like they don't get the attention that maybe you've given them before the full training mode was going on. So how would you answer that question?
Well, me personally, it has been an ongoing testing of balance. My closest, dearest friends who, those girls I graduated from Biola with, and then Shannon too, who I graduated from high school with, they understand my life very well. That's probably why they're such good friends, because they've been gracious, thoughtful, kind, and have really understood that I just have some seasons throughout the year, especially when I get into racing, where I'm just not around that much.
Yeah.
And we have this wonderful thing called social media and texting, and if you do Marco Polo, you can send messages. I do a lot of audio messages. That is my thing. Sometimes it's just I'm on the fly. I'm maybe like walking through the parking lot to go into the grocery store, and I think, I want to send Carrie or Natalie or Janelle a text message, and I don't want to type. There's too much I have to say, and I want them to hear my voice. So, I'll do an audio message to them. So that's a
great tip, because that's something that for this person that wrote in, I don't know, I forgot who it was, but if they're thinking of them as they're driving, or thinking of them, like you said, walking into the grocery store, whatever, it's just a quick audio message. It takes maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but shows them that, hey, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah. I'm
reaching out. Like that's a good
and
tip.
Those are my favorite. I think my friends have slowly learned I do that a lot. And so I love listening to them when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And hearing their voices. I love that. The other way, I know Eddie and we've talked about this, but like just you have to be more intentional with making plans, which is sometimes hard, especially for parents.
Yeah.
You hit these seasons with your kids where unless your friends are sitting on the sideline with you rooting for their kids, like you start to become friends with the sports families on the teams that your kids are on, right? Like you'll have seasons where it's just like that. I remember when the kids were little, it was who they were in class with, in elementary school. And then it's like, well, who's living on your street? So you have seasons in your life where friends come and go, or you're closer to some friends than you are than others. I would say that our college group of friends have been the mainstay since we were 18 years old and have gone through every season with us. And so I think this past weekend, we went out to dinner with friends on Friday night, and then we went out with friends on Saturday night. And one of the things that Eddie and I talked about was, every day you have to eat a meal. And why not share the meal with someone that you love and someone that you care about? So if you can make that work, do it. And Eddie and I are amazing at last minute. Like sometimes last minute stuff just works for us. And so that's what happened with our friends this past weekend.
Yeah.
And we had a great time. And we've started to work a little bit harder at that, where we need to start making sure that, we're seeing friends and we're having a meal, like let's just invite people over or meet up with them. So the balance in that, I think, has always looked different with the seasons of life. And I think I probably best learned that once we started having kids. So even before I was a runner, and I was training and stuff, I just realized like, wow, it is really hard to keep a social schedule when you have babies and they have nap times and they go to bed at different times and sometimes they don't feel good. And it was like, I don't think there was any season in my life where I had to like cancel more play dates, and you cancel things because everything revolves around your kids' schedules and how they're feeling. And so staying connected with people who are in the same place that you are. I think for the mothers that are listening, staying connected with mom groups, in your area, whether that's through your church or through your community, where they understand what you're going through and they totally get it when you say, oh my gosh, I can't come. I got to cancel right now. My baby just blew their diaper out and it's going to take me 20 minutes to clean this up, and then you're in tears because like you were looking so forward to connecting with an adult and now it's not happening. And I should probably do a mom episode. I could talk for hours about that, how sometimes you feel like you have isolating seasons because you're a new parent and you're trying to figure out that schedule. But what is true for all humans is that seasons come and go and they change. And before you know it, I mean, Eddie and I, we're like, oh my gosh, like more and more our kids are out of the house for dinner time.
Yeah.
And so, there used to be a time where we could only have dinner at home. Going out to a restaurant was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So they do come and go. But, the people in your life, your friends, that close circle of friends, your family, they truly are the most valuable things you have in your life. They are the most precious. They are what make your life full. And when you're hitting tough seasons in your life, they help keep your feet grounded.
Mm-hmm.
You start to remember like, wait, this is actually what matters. That medal does not matter as much as my children and is not as much as my best friends and my family. It's the people. And when I look back on my life, it's the memories with people that I will remember the most. Mm-hmm. And so we have to work hard at that. And I think, Eddie is a great planner. We both do our best to write out our schedule for the week and then a daily schedule. And so that has really helped us maintain a consistent connection with friends and family. Today we got to go to Riley's soccer game again. I think in our last podcast we were saying we're going to Riley's soccer game, but I think it's just remembering that each day is an opportunity to make an impact in somebody else's life, and that can be as simple as giving a phone call, writing a letter. I still write letters. I love the handwritten letter. Mm-hmm. Sending a text, doing a FaceTime, giving your kids a hug. Like Eddie, he'll go and pick me up coffee, I'm sure, at some point today.
Interesting.
But the little things matter. I think sometimes when we think of connecting with our friends, we think it has to be this big, girls' night out or a big barbecue on the weekend, and it doesn't. Sometimes it's just this simple, like, touch and go, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on lately? Update me. And that's important.
Yeah, those are good tips.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think you touched on this one, but I think you actually did a YouTube on this one as well. But at Mrs. Summerer says, what's your typical long run fuel?
Oh, okay.
Like real food versus gels. So maybe more specific to you. Like I know you've talked a lot about even at the beginning of this podcast, we talked about how when and what type is kind of unique to that person. But I think she's asking what your typical long run fuel is.
My long run fuel has changed over the years. I like to experiment with different things. Right now, I am obsessed with Bare Performance Nutrition Go Bar. Mm-hmm. It is basically a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah,
I love Rice Krispie treats. Delicious.
I could eat probably 15 Rice Krispie treats in one sitting easily.
And these bars, they're 200 calories. Great. I don't know what the carb count on it. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's an oat bar.
Yeah.
And it is delicious. I love it.
Yeah.
So that has been my fuel. I take those things to the gym. If I have like a 2+ hour workout in the gym, I'll eat one of those bars. Same thing. If I'm in the mountains, I eat differently than I do for a long run on the road. Because I found that when I climb, I am expending more energy, and I'm also out there longer, and I don't just want liquid calories.
Yeah.
I want something a little bit more substantial. So my long run fuel box, this is what it looks like. I have a liquid drink that is a go-to. It's the G1M. This is all Bare Performance products, but G1M has a carb and electrolyte drink, so it's combined. So I don't have to have a separate electrolyte. So I will bring a whole flask of that, and then I'll bring a baggie of it as well so that I can refill up the bottle. I will then have just a bottle of just water. And then I will have a mixture of gels and a bar. But I also like real food when I'm in the mountains. When I'm on the trails, I like to bring things like raisins, banana chips. I like to bring maybe like a peanut butter sandwich. I'll do dates. And a new favorite of mine, which I'm still like trying to figure out the best way to carry it, is mashed potatoes. I really like mashed potatoes with sea salt. I know you can buy those pouches, like the empty pouches. You can fill them up with that. But that's about it. I always include in my pack some peppermint candies and some ginger chews. Those are great for nausea when your stomach's upset and you can't get anything in. Put one of those in the side of your mouth and just let it kind of drip into your belly. It does help. So yeah, that's pretty much what my long run nutrition looks like right now.
Nice. I actually, the other night when I did that 13-mile run, I had a bottle of the G1M that I kind of nursed the whole time. And that was the first time I've had G1M actually. That was really good.
You mean all the times you were crewing me for those 200s, you never sat back with a big glass of it?
And just poured a big glass and scooped one in? I did not.
You were so tired of filling my bottles with it.
I did so many scoops for
and
other people.
Me vomit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's probably, so that I had that. I think I had the salted watermelon.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
We'll give a link to that.
Yeah.
Again, all the links are always in my link tree.
Mm-hmm.
We have a discount code, Sally, that you can get with any BPN nutrition products. The thing with the Bare Performance nutrition products is they test everything.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I consume it.
Yeah.
I just know it's
they
tested, it's quality.
Taste good too.
It's very high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Sal, I think that puts a button
done?
On this episode.
Are we going to end?
I think we're about to finish.
There are people that are still moving right now that are like, no, don't go.
Sadly, I think it is time for us to end this episode and go to Jan's Health Bar and get us a nice sandwich.
For everyone running that's thinking about what they're going to have, and we just made them hungry. I'm probably going to have that. What's that wrap that I get?
Yeah, I was just
Is it turkey or chicken?
It's a chicken wrap, yeah.
Chicken crunch wrap.
Yep.
It is delicious.
Yep,
we got
it
some
is very good.
avocado in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you love getting the broccoli cheese soup.
Oh, love that soup.
But they also have this incredible date shake.
I haven't had that.
Dates, peanut butter, almond milk. I mean, you can make it at home. I used to make it all the time. Delicious.
No, I haven't had that one.
Yeah. Well, in closing.
Yeah, bring us home here.
Let's just go ahead and bring this home. In closing, a special message to you, our listeners. One, what you're doing right now, it matters. You matters. Thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for being here with us and listening to this podcast. We want you to know that we are rooting for you in whatever goal that you are working toward. We want you to know that we love hearing from you. So thank you for the reviews, the ratings, the messages, what you share in the Facebook page.
Yep.
We just really love this community that is being created. Make sure that you check out our merch shop for all of the new merchandise that's dropping. Spread the good word, be a part of Choose Strong community. These make great gifts as well, and we love to see you guys in them. But all else aside, we are rooting for you. Eddie, the community is rooting for you.
Yes, I appreciate them all
your
reaching
half
out.
marathon this weekend. If you are going to be at the Surf City Marathon, half marathon this weekend in Southern California in Huntington Beach, I will be wearing my Choose Strong hat and my yellow Do the Work sweatshirt.
You're going to stick out.
Yeah, I'll stick out purposely. Please come and say hi. We love meeting you guys, and we just love our community so much. But if anything else, no matter where you are in the world listening, we appreciate you, we love you, and we encourage you to keep choosing strong in all that you do.